Jay gonna tell us how many gods he has?
I can't hear him. Jay, I think Cat's got his tongue. Oh, he says second. No. Yep, you gotta take your mouth off the pipe, man. Can't speak with your mouth on the pipe. Let's go.
Just wonder how Jay counts gods.
So, Jake, you gonna do the Islamic dilemma or just your metaphysics stuff?
It's gonna ask you how you count gods.
Hey, Jake, you got big by Nick, dude. I'm not even. Metaphysics is not something I do. Metaphysics is not something I do. Embarrassing.
How did that happen?
I'm not interested. No, not interested. You gonna do the Islamic dilemma?
Is it because you can't? Is it because you can't show me how you only believe in one God?
Great. I know you're a one-trick pony, bro. You want to do the Islamic
No, I'm
dilemma?
not a one-trick pony, dude. I can talk about how you believe Satan was Jesus was a ransom to Satan too.
Great. Satan was the first Muslim too, by the way. So you should be really happy with it.
Let's talk about that.
Right.
Let's talk about how Satan was the first Muslim. You want to talk about that?
Oh, okay, sure. No problem.
Let's go.
No
So
problem.
how about,
hold
on a
let's
second.
talk about that.
Jay, yeah, stop interrupting me. How about we talk about whether or not Satan was the first Muslim, right? And then after that, you explain to me how you count gods. How's that go? What do you think?
I'm not interested in that. Like I said, metaphysics at that deep level, I don't do it. But I will tell you how we count it. But I will go into a little bit of it, but I'm not going to go into debate.
Okay, so
that is not my forte. I dabble in it. I like it. I find it intellectually bro, why are you talking over me?
Is it you don't know?
You ask me a question. You ask me a question, and then you start talking.
But you're rambling,
You ask
dude.
me not to speak over you. Okay. So you ask me a question, right? All right. I'll do this. I'll let you speak. When you finish, you let me speak. Go.
You already agreed to the format. The format is we are going to discuss whether or not Satan was the first Muslim, and then after that, I'm going to ask you about how you count gods. And you can answer as little or as much as you want, but that'll become clear. How about that?
Right. I'll just give you my understanding of how we count gods, and I'll finish with that. I will not engage with you on it because I don't do metaphysics at that level. I said I dabble in it. I find it intellectually stimulating on it. That's not my forte. But the Islamic dilemma, if you want to sit down and do that, or we can do Satan was the first Muslim.
Yeah, we're doing Satan was the first Muslim because you just made that claim. So what's the argument?
Right. So let me ask you, if anyone is up in heaven with Allah, does that person have to be a Muslim, or can a non-Muslim be hanging around with, in your paradise with Allah? Or
Jay, this is what's going to happen.
So,
you made a claim, so just make your argument. Don't ask me questions.
I'm going through. What do you mean? You don't ask questions when you do your metaphysics stuff?
Dude,
how weird is this?
You made a claim. Give me the argument.
So I'm giving you the argument, okay. So Jay, you don't want to do this? Let me know, bro. It's going to have some questions.
Give me the argument.
I'll build on that.
Formulate the argument.
I'm building. I will. Just like you, don't come out with the argument. You sit down. How do you count it? You have
Father's
10 questions.
God, Son's God, Holy
and everything.
Spirit's God. They're not each other. The normal way in which we count would be them being three gods.
Great. And then you ask people to prove it, and they dispute.
Okay, so
go back and forth, right?
What's the argument?
So the argument is Satan is the first Muslim. Iblis
That's
is
not
the
an
first
argument.
Muslim,
that's a claim.
right? So it's simple as that.
Give me the argument.
Do you want to run? Do you want to just go a couple of back and forths on that questions? Is that okay with you?
Hey, I just want you to give me the argument for your claim. You're making a claim. What's the argument?
Jake, I'm going to ask you a couple of foundation questions, and then I'll give you the argument. There's a couple of questions, okay?
You to provide the argument.
Man, you're a one-trick pony, bro. You're a one-trick pony. You're a one-trick pony.
You can't even give your own argument.
You're a one-trick pony, bro. 2 questions will sit down and hurt you enough so that I can. You can't even let me your own. Why do you invite people? Why did you send me 7 invites? Why did you send me 7 invites for you to cry about 2 questions?
What's your argument for the claim?
You're crying. I'm telling. I will come to it, but I need a couple of foundation questions.
You will come to it, so you need me to hold your hand? You need me to hold your hand?
What's the big deal for 2 questions?
You need me to hold your hand, Jay?
You're not holding diddly squat. I'm just establishing whether you agree or not.
Claim.
Okay, so as simple as that, right?
Give
so
me your argument.
Hey guys, this is the one trick pony you guys think is the big man. Already got himself embarrassed by Nick. He got himself embarrassed by Nick. He can't take 2 questions from me.
Jay,
you can't take 2 questions from me.
All of your claims.
He can't take 2 questions.
Once you give your argument for your claim, how about that?
Bro, 2 questions. That's it.
Okay,
and then I'll give you my argument.
Can't provide an argument, right?
Look at that, guys. He's afraid of 2 questions. And you guys think this is your hot guy, dude. You guys think this is a hot guy, guys. Okay, 2 questions.
Jay,
look at that. Jay's afraid. Jay's afraid to provide an argument.
One trick pony, bro. You know, one trick pony. You got smashed by Nick, dude.
You're not.
You know that. Why did you got smashed by Nick, dude? You embarrassed the hell out of yourself.
Okay, so give me the argument.
Yeah, the argument is
how he got smashed. Yeah, tell us how he got smashed.
So now
he can.
He got what? I don't want to go into those details of 99 ontologies, not knowing the difference between real and formal distinctions. Did not know if he was, if he was.
All Jay wants to do is make claims, but he doesn't want to back up his claims.
Look at
You made a claim that Satan was the first Muslim, but you're afraid to give an argument.
I've got a foundation. Everybody knows in a debate you're allowed. It's not like I'm creating some new rules out there. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. Listen.
You made a claim. You are supposed to provide an argument for your claim.
You're such a whiner, dude. You're a whiner, dude. You're trying to
whiner, dude.
You think in a debate people don't ask questions. This is how ridiculous this guy is.
This is you who made a claim, and now you're being asked to provide an argument for your claim.
So here's the guys in chat, okay? Chat. He invited me up 7 times to cry over 2 questions.
49er can't provide an argument for his claim. You're so weak, dude. You're pathetic. You are refusing to provide an argument because you know once you provide your argument, you're going to get baked, dude. That's why. That's why. So, Jay.
Yeah, thanks for muting me.
Admit to me that you can't make your argument.
Muting me, bro.
Speaking Muslim,
next time when you want to
stop muting him, dude. Jay, admit to me.
Thanks for inviting me up 7 times, Jay. And the 2 questions telling me that I cannot build on it.
I will answer your 2 questions. I will answer your 2 questions.
All right, great. So question number 1.
Shut up. I will answer
don't talk to me that way, bro. You don't know who I am. Don't talk to me that way.
2 questions, Jay. Once you admit.
All right, then answer it. Stop whining.
Shut up. I will answer your 2 questions. Once you admit to me that you can't make your argument without asking me those 2 questions. Go ahead and admit that.
Great. Once you admit that you got your ass baked by Nick, you're a one-trick pony, I will then tell you the argument.
But you keep making the claim.
No. Once you say you're a one-trick pony, then I'll sit down and do that.
Every time I ask you to defend the claim,
bro, what a waste of time. This guy invites me up 7 times.
You refuse.
Okay, I refuse 7 times. And then he can't answer 2 questions. It's a debate. They're going to at least allow me to ask 2 questions, and then I will formulate my thing. Okay, look, one-trick pony, dude.
One-trick pony. You can't even provide an argument, and you can't admit that you can't provide an argument without asking me your 2 questions. You're afraid.
This guy sits down and says, like, this is the first time, and when people come up to debate, that asking a person a question, building on it, is like a big problem. No, you got to go to the argument first.
I'm asking you to admit
because he knows that Satan is the first Muslim. He's worried about it. I have to get you to answer 2 questions, and then I will make the argument. If you're not, thank you very much for your time. You one-trick pony, you ran.
That's it. Jay, because you're unable to give the argument.
Great, thank you. Very good. Very
now
good.
Everybody can see that. Go ahead and ask your 2 stupid argument.
Go ahead. Yeah. Okay. Whatever. Are with Allah in heaven.
Only Muslims make it to Jannah, paradise.
Very good. Very nice. And to be a Muslim, you must do it out of free will, i.e. you cannot be forced. Great. So Iblis
Were those your
the
two
first
questions?
was
Let's be clear. Were those your two questions?
yeah. I've got
Okay,
a couple more, but
now
I know you
you're
were
gonna
whining
make your
about it. So
argument,
I'll
right?
give you the argument. I'll give you the argument because you're whining
Go
too
ahead.
much.
Give it
Okay.
to me.
Yeah. So now the argument is that the angels were created to submit to Allah, and so they are not really Muslims. But Iblis, who came before the angels and before Adam, was with Allah in heaven, and Iblis submitted to Allah before he disobeyed him. That makes Iblis the first Muslim.
Okay, Jay. Now I see you're gonna mute your mic, right? Because I muted when you were talking. So mute your mic.
Yeah, I won't talk when you talk. You can go ahead.
Okay, good.
I can mute, no problem.
So the argument you just made is not only not sound, it's not even logically valid because it does not at all follow from the premises you gave. You made the claim that Iblis or the Shaitan is the first Muslim because the jinn were supposedly created before Adam. You also claimed that jinn were created before angels. You gave no argument or evidence for that. And then you said that, even if we granted for the sake of argument that jinn were created before angels, what is your argument that Satan was the first jinn?
So he did not pay attention to anything, guys. This is the guy you bring as your top guy. I made it very clear that I asked him, I said, to be a Muslim, you must do it out of your own free will. And he said, yes, you cannot be forced to submit to Allah and thereby be called a Muslim. And he said, yes. So that means angels are out because angels were created to submit to, one second, sorry, let me be on.
Watch, J49er is going to short circuit here in just a couple minutes.
Sorry. Anyways, so as I said, so the angels are out of it, right? And Iblis was the first jinn, and Adam came much later, right? And Iblis, as I said, was with Allah in heaven, according to you guys, and he did obey Allah before he disobeyed him. So that makes him a person in heaven with Allah as a Muslim. You had already agreed with that too. And he wasn't forced. He did it out of his free will. He submitted to Allah. That makes him, Satan makes the first Muslim.
You done, Jay?
Yeah, hopefully this time you paid attention to it.
I paid attention. Hopefully this time you pay attention. I'm going to ask you a simple question. What is your argument that Iblis was the first jinn? Don't give me the same ramblings that you just gave for the past 2 rounds. Answer the question. What is the argument or evidence that you have from the Quran or Sunnah that explicitly states that Iblis was the first jinn ever created by Allah? Go ahead.
So wasn't he the chief of the jinns?
I asked you a question and now you're responding with a question. Do you not
I'm
have
asking
an answer?
I'm asking you the question. So what was Iblis
Jay,
created before
I
Adam?
asked you a question, dude.
Was Iblis
Don't make
created?
it difficult.
Okay, was Iblis created before Adam?
Jay,
That nervous laughter is not going to help you, dude.
and you're responding with a question, dude. Is this a conversation?
Right, my claim.
Or is this just like
So here
questions?
it is. Iblis was created before Adam. Iblis was the chief of your among your jinns, and he was the first created.
Where does
being
it say
out there.
that? Other than you claiming that?
So where does it say that Iblis was the first one created?
Where does it say that Iblis was the first jinn created by Allah?
Right. Okay, so it says in your 15:26 to 31, and we certainly created a man out of clay from an altered black mud, and the jinn we created before from scorching fire. Okay, you have that. Iblis is also identified as jinn in your 1850 and mentioned when we said to the angel, prostrate to Adam, and they prostrated except for Iblis. He was of the jinn and departed from the command of his Lord. So in that, Iblis is created before man, created before Adam, and he is the first Muslim. And angels cannot be.
No,
cannot be.
You just jumped, Jay.
So there you go.
You just jumped.
What?
You just jumped.
What did I jump?
You showed two verses. You showed a verse from chapter
Well, you
15. Let me
Wait, didn't you ask me to
finish now, Jay?
Go
Let
ahead.
me finish.
Go ahead.
You just gave two verses. I don't know why you're laughing, dude, because you're about to be barbecue chicken.
Okay? Yeah. You
just
talk too
gave
much
two
rhetoric.
verses.
So far, you've just been asking me to show you stuff. You don't even know your own theology that Iblis was first.
You failed, dude, because you're a one-trick pony, but you met somebody that you didn't know.
Hey, man, use your own comeback.
Dude, you're a one-trick pony. You know what your trick is? You talk to ignoramuses. You don't deal with people like me. There's levels to this shit, son. There's levels to this.
Bro,
you're not ready.
Bro.
You're not ready, bro.
Stop your rhetoric.
You're not
Stop your
ready,
rhetoric.
so just
you're nervous right now. You're not addressing what I'm saying.
I'm not nervous at all. I'm not nervous at all,
All you've done is trying to attack me personally. You're this, you're one trick, you're this, your son and everything else. This is what happens, guys. When the muzzies have no answer, they will attack you.
What happens is when I talk, you interrupt. When I talk, you interrupt.
Go ahead and answer.
When you talk,
stop attacking me then.
That's what happens.
So
that's what happens.
Well, stop attacking
me. Be quiet and just be quiet and let me address what you said.
He's thinking now. He's thinking like. He's thinking now. He's thinking like.
Like a little girl. Now, let me finish. You read two verses. You read a verse from chapter 15, which says that the jinn were created before mankind. Yes, that's true. You also produced a verse from chapter 18, which says that Iblis was of the jinn. What follows from that? That jinn were created before mankind, and Iblis was one of those jinn that was created before Adam alayhi salam. Now I'm asking you the same question, which you failed to provide an answer to. What is the argument that Iblis was the first jinn created by Allah?
Iblis is the chief of the jinns. He's called the chief of the jinns, and the chief of the jinn will always be created first before it.
Argument for that.
Now, if you want to refute it, go show to me that he wasn't the first jinn created. That's as simple as that. Okay? So if you want to say there was another jinn created before him, refute it. He's known in your theology as the first of the jinn. Guys, this guy's big, dude. He doesn't know this. One trick pony doesn't know this. By the way, Dean Response and Anas already agreed that Iblis was the first Muslim.
You know
your
why?
other boys have already agreed to it because your one trick pony ass doesn't even know this. Your own theology. All you keep on saying one count, two count, three count, four. One count, two count, three count. I'm talking. What are you talking now? It's my time. It's my time. It's my time. I haven't finished.
Go ahead, Jay.
I haven't finished.
I'll wait for you.
I haven't finished. Okay. So that's what I'm saying, guys. This is not like, I know this guy's a one trick pony, right? I called him a one trick pony first, right? He's all about one count, two count, three count chickens. That's all he keeps on doing, right? And so he had no idea. Everybody of your guys, your other guys who are more knowledgeable, they sat down and said, yep, he is the first. So what? That their answer is so what? You didn't even know this. Now you're going to go on and on in a circle and try to make sure that your boys who have sat down and said, yes, Iblis is the first Muslim, were wrong. Now go ahead, I'm clipping this whole thing. And then I'll have Dean respond on that question, and then I'll have your response on it.
Couldn't care less, dude. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care. I don't care what Dean or anybody else you spoke to said. I'm going to ask you again because you failed now 3 times. You made the claim that Iblis was the first of the jinn. You have failed to provide an argument or evidence for that. The only thing that you've done is shown that Iblis is one of the jinn and that the jinn were created before Adam alayhi salam. You have not provided an evidence from the Quran wa Sunnah to show that Iblis was the first jinn created. What is consistent with the evidence you provided? Iblis was created before Adam, but there could also be another jinn that was created before Iblis. You have not given an argument to demonstrate that that is not possible. You said, Jake, you need to show me where the Quran or Hadith say that Iblis is not the first jinn. No, dude, you're giving an argument from silence. You're saying, based upon the fact that I can't show you that Iblis was not the first of jinn created, that means that he must be the first of jinn created. No, that's an argument from silence, dude. You are making an irrational, illogical argument because you have no proof to actually demonstrate that Iblis was the first of jinn created. So I'm going to ask you one more time. Don't give me evidence that jinn were created before human beings. Don't give me evidence that Iblis was a jinn. Show me that Iblis was the first of jinn created by Allah. If you can't do it, just admit that you can't and keep trying to hide behind Dean Responds and other people who are not here. Give me the evidence. We're all waiting.
I told you the evidence was what? I told you that he was the chief of the jinns. He was called the chief of the jinns. And so you always have the leader, and then you'll have all these other jinns who were created after him. He's been having too much of jinn and juice apparently in this conversation, ladies and gentlemen, okay? If he wants to say, I'm just gonna have a good time with it. I'm telling you that my logic inference is this. Satan is the chief of the jinns. And so I'm going by, if you're the chief of the jinns, you're the first one. And then you have your army created underneath that. Okay? I've going to create an army of jinns underneath that. But if he wants to say there was some other jinn and Jews, maybe his name was there, who was the first Muslim, have at it. You have a jinn that is the first Muslim, not Adam as the first Muslim. You have Satan's minions, Iblis, Satan's minions, okay? Now, those are not nice guys, you know? Satan minions as the first jinn. So either which way, you're Satan or Satan minions. Whichever one you want to take, I don't care about it. But I will stand by this one thing. He's the chief of the jinns. You go by there's something called inference, and not all argumentation to silence is bad, okay? Being the chief of the jinn, he was the first Muslim. That's what I'm basing it on. You can sit down and try to plow. Show me where the chief of the jinns is the first jinn. All right, so you show me who was first created among the jinns then. If you have an alternative, if you have to sit down and refute me, go show me that. As simple as that. Go.
Okay, so it's very clear. Jay does not have an answer to the question. His whole argument is done. It's gone. It's out the window. He admitted that he was making an inference, which I'm saying is unjustified, and he's making an argument from silence, and he's asking me to provide him evidence for the claim that Iblis is not the first of the jinn. Guess what? I never made that claim. You made the claim that Iblis was undoubtedly the first of the jinn. You haven't been able to show that at all, other than claiming he is the chief of the jinn. You also didn't show anything for that claim, which I've never disputed, but you haven't provided evidence even for that. And even if we granted that Iblis is supposedly, quote unquote, the chief of the jinn, you're saying, oh, if he's the chief of the jinn, then he must be temporally the first jinn that was created by Allah. What is the argument for that? I can say that he's the chief of the jinn in another sense, that he had power and dominion over the other jinn, or that he was a leader of the jinn. Being a leader of the jinn does not mean that he must be temporally the first jinn created by Allah. you are admitting that you're making an inference from Iblis being created before Adam, then to saying that Iblis is chief of the jinn, then to saying that chief of the jinn must mean that he's the first one created temporally. You've given no argument whatsoever for that inference. Why? Because you don't have any at all. And I'm going to give you one last chance to show me that you do have evidence that Iblis is the first of the jinn. And then once you can't do that, then I'm going to move to something else, which is going to blow your mind.
I've heard my argument over and over again. Very simply. Oh, 1 second. Sorry. Something's wrong with my. Why is it glitching? Hold on.
I'd like everybody to tap the live, please, so we can get this in the algorithm. We are.
Did you
League C4.
did you take the comments off or something?
Yeah, I did because I needed to tap the live.
Oh, okay. I thought my thing was.
Do you need the comments?
Right.
Is there a reason you need the comments?
No. I thought my thing glitched.
No, I think you guys deserve. I think you guys deserve some likes and to go in the algorithm. Let's keep the convo going.
Right. So again, not all argumentation from silence is bad. My argumentation is a chief of the jinn, right, had to be the first, just like your Allah was the first created, right? And so he had to be the first. And based on that, if you want to sit down and say no, they were his minions, some minion came before him. So Satan's minions came before him. So you've got Satan's minion as some guy out there as the first Muslim. I'm fine with that too. That's what I'm saying. Either which way, your claim that Adam is the first Muslim goes down the drain. Because, guess what? He was created before Adam.
You done, Jay?
Of course.
Okay, so it's obvious that you don't actually have an answer to the question. You keep repeating the claim, but you've shown absolutely zero evidence for your claim that Iblis is the first of the jinn. So there's really no need to even go any further, but I will entertain you for the sake of argument. What is your argument that the jinn are not part of the angels? What's your argument for that when the Quran says at the time when the angels are being commanded to bow down and prostrate to Adam alayhi salam, and it says that the angels, all of them did it except for Iblis. So what is your argument that the jinn or Iblis is not one of the angels?
So, did the jinns have free will?
Jay, now you're asking me a question when I just asked you a question.
Yeah, come on, let's go back and forth, dude. Why are you so dramatic, dude? I'm asking a question. So wait, you can ask
a question, and now every single time, okay. Notice,
bro, this guy is such sus, dude.
Bro,
this is supposed to be the big guy, dude.
Every single time.
Yeah. Here it is. Okay.
Every single time that I ask you a question, you respond with a question. You never answer.
Not every single time. No, I'm just asking. I'm building on it. So aren't jinns that have free will and angels don't?
What's your argument for that?
What do you mean? What's my argument? You agreed to it earlier. You said angels have no free will. You're baked, bro. You started this whole thing. Because I asked you earlier. And I said, "Do angels have free will?" And you said no.
Never happened.
And I said, and I've been arguing and saying the jinns have free will.
Jay,
why are you talking over me? Okay, you're talking over me. You're talking over me now. Guys, watch this. I've got this. I got him baked, dude. I got him baked here, okay? Remember, I've recorded this conversation, all right? Please don't talk over me. Please don't talk over me.
So you don't want to answer your
question? Guys, we started, no, now he's all desperate to answer, right? So listen, when we started this entire debate, he told me, he gave it to me, I have it recorded, where he says the angels do not have free will.
That
And
never
I
happened.
also said,
Jay,
that listen,
Jay, how much you wanna bet that never happened?
When your turn comes, you can talk. When your turn comes, you can talk. Okay, hold on. Okay, I got it recorded. I specifically
so do
said
we,
that,
dummy.
asked him that, and he said that, right? And then I said, hey, the jinn, being Iblis, he had free will. The jinns have free will. And he said, yeah, so what? So, I said, that's the basis of what I'm trying to make you the argument, that it could not have been angels. That could be the first Muslim. To be a first Muslim, we had established that you must have free will to sit down and choose Allah as God and not be forced into it. Now he's asking me, what is the difference? How do you know that the jinn, which are made up of different, also their makeup is different than angels anyways, but he's saying, how do you know if a jinn is not an angel? And I just told you told me that they aren't. One has free will, one doesn't, the other one doesn't. As simple as that. So now go ahead and give me more material for my clip, bro. Go.
Okay, good. Here's what we're going to do, Jay. If you can actually produce evidence for where I ever said, you claim that I said that angels do not have free will. In fact, you said you asked me that question. You said angels do not have free will, right, Jake? And you claimed that I said yes, that you asked me that question, and I explicitly told you that angels do not have free will. Here's what we're going to do, Jay. I don't know how old you are, but it seems like your memory is failing you. If you're actually able to show that, I will never come on TikTok again. How about that?
Great. So what we're going to do is, he's going to look for a verbatim thing out there, but you will hear me sitting down and asking him a couple of things. I said, do you have to have free will to, you'd hear my argumentation. He hears it, okay? That you have to have free will to submit to God. And he says, yes. And I said, well, the angels don't have free will, right? And so only Iblis had the free will. You'll hear that conversation back and forth. And it's clear as day that he agrees with it. He never sits down and objects or anything at all. But now we're going to play his game to double it down. I'm going to ask him the same question. The angels don't have free will. They're created where they must submit to Allah. Are you telling me as a Muslim today that that is wrong? That is not a statement of fact.
I just want to interject for a second. Jay, you said you were recording this. So theoretically, you have it. So why wouldn't you just play it? Why do you have to
Because it's screen recorded. Because it's screen recorded. I can't go back.
Don't worry,
I have to stop it.
Don't worry, speaking. Okay. We got this.
Fair.
It's all good. Here, I am saying boldly again, Jay is making the claim that I affirmed. Pay attention to what he said earlier. He said, Jake, I asked you directly, do the angels have free will? And you said no. That Jake explicitly affirmed that the angels do not have free will. I will repeat once again, Mr. J49er, you can save your Christians a lot of trouble. You can keep me off of this app for good. Matter of fact, I'll delete my entire YouTube channel if you are able to show anything, even remotely resembling what you claim, that I ever said that angels do not have free will. Now, if you can't do it now and you can't do it afterwards, what I want you to do is to take just 1 week time out from TikTok. How about that? How about we make a deal? Because you are so delusional. You're so flabbergasted by my response that you weren't ready for, because there's levels to this that you weren't ready for this level. And you were not ready for this response, that you are so deluded, you're actually recalling things in your mind that never actually happened in this conversation. You're claiming that I ever said that angels do not have free will. I've never said that. So if you cannot produce that, then I want you to say here and now that you will admit that you lost this debate, you lost this discussion, and that your memory is failing you, and you should probably get off of this app. Are you willing to do that, Jay? We're all waiting.
Bro, this guy is the biggest sus, man. Not only talks like a sus man wearing a man's well, and you did, and show me this, and show me that. All throughout the conversation that we were having about Satan being the first Muslim, we established that you have to have free will. I established and I told him, I made the statement that angels don't have free will, and he never objected to it. We continued on to Satan. So now I'm asking him this. He wants to look for the verbatim thing. I'm challenging him, this sus Muslim, okay? God, bro, you gotta man up and talk like a man, dude, okay? That tone of yours, good Lord, okay?
Hey,
Do angels
one to
have the
talk
free will?
after that squeak
Okay.
in your voice.
Do you want to? Oh, it's my turn. It's my turn. It's my turn. It's my turn. Don't talk over me. Okay. I let you say whatever you wanted to say about me. Okay. I kept quiet. So now you have to let me do the same. If you don't like it, don't attack me in that manner. I will never attack. I only retaliate. Okay. So now my question comes down to this. Okay. Okay. So now my question comes down to this, guys. Okay. Watch what he's doing. He's trying to distract from the answer. Okay. And you'll see when I'll put the recording out, you will see, if he's looking for a verbatim, you'll see me sitting down saying that the angels do not have free will and you must have free will. He doesn't disagree with it. Okay. We are having an entire conversation. Now he knows he's trapped. So he's going to sit down and now continue with this. No. Show me what I specifically said it. All right. If you think you didn't say it, right? I'm asking you right now. Do angels have free will? He won't answer. I said angels have no free will. He says, show me a separation between a jinn and an angel. And I said, jinns have free will. Angels have no free will. They're created and they have to submit to Allah. They have nothing else. In fact, guys, instead of me waiting on this guy to do this, he already knows he's fried, dude. 66:6. Remember earlier he asked me to bring Quran verses. I brought him Quran verses. You already brought me 2 verses. Okay. Well, how many verses do you want? Okay. So anyway, 66:6. The angels do not disobey Allah in what he commands them. And they do what they are commanded. Okay. This is not, they do not choose to or anything else. It is an inherent condition. They cannot. Now in his theology, he knows, well, he may not know it. As I said, he's a one-trick pony. Okay. But I will, when I put the response to this video, go in there and I'll get all the scholarship and I'll add all of that in there. Okay. To show that this guy doesn't know that jinns are different than angels. That's the question, by the way, Muslims in chat. He's asking me, he's challenging me on show me how the jinns are different than angels. Okay. So yeah. Now, is 66:6, and do you agree that angels do not have free will while jinn have free will? That's my answer to you. Question to you. Answer it or do whatever you want to do with your time. I'm done on this on this part.
Yeah, you're done, and all you can do is ask me questions because you don't have any answers to my questions. You started this argument by making the claim that Iblis was the first jinn created. You failed to do that. You said, oh, but Jake, my argument is that the jinn were created before mankind. So what? So what? That doesn't matter at all. So were angels. That does not matter at all. And then you made the claim, oh, well, Iblis is called a chief of the jinn. What was the argument to show that supposed chief of the jinn means that Iblis must temporally be the first jinn created? You gave no argument for that at all. You said, Jake, you need to prove that Iblis wasn't the first jinn created. No, I don't. You made the claim. The burden of proof is on the one who makes the claim. You made the claim that Iblis was the first jinn created. You were not able to show that at all. Now you're going into, oh, Jake is so ignorant that he doesn't know that actually the jinn and angels are two completely different creatures. And he just read a verse from chapter 66, verse 6, which says that the angels do as they are commanded. And so what? Doesn't J49er believe that when he thinks he's going to make it to paradise, at this point, it doesn't look too good in his position since he's worshiping 3 gods. But doesn't he believe that he's going to have free will in paradise? I think Jay would say yes. we are going to have free will in paradise. Okay, well, are humans going to be able to sin in paradise, in heaven? Jay would have to say no. Oh, wow. So that's an example where humans can have free will and yet they don't sin. They actually do whatever they're commanded and they don't go against God's commands. So how is it the case that merely from claiming that angels do what they're commanded, that it necessarily follows from that what? That they couldn't possibly actually go against God's commands. The text does not say that at all, which Jay has failed to establish it. He's also completely ignorant of the Islamic tradition, where actually, and sadly many Muslims are as well, and that's why Jay doesn't know anything about this, and I hope he does some research afterwards so he stops using such a lame argument, that actually the majority of the early Mufassirin, or the early scholars of tafsir or exegesis of the Quran, actually believed that Iblis was an angel and that the jinn are actually a tribe of the angels. But Jay doesn't know that because he's a fool. He's taking these lame arguments from Google and Reddit, but he doesn't know the Islamic tradition. He doesn't know what Imam al-Tabari says about this issue. He has no idea. So you need to provide an argument, which you failed to do so. We're going to give you 1 or 2 more times for you to establish that Iblis was the first of the jinn. I also want you to show that none of the early scholars of Islam in the Sunni tradition actually interpreted Iblis as one of the angels. Provide evidence and an argument for that. We're all waiting, Jay.
All right, guys, what you heard was a whole lot of gibberish, dude. He went into what the initial argument was and everything else. Never. It says in 66:6. Look at that. He starts with this shit, dude. Yeah, speaking Muslim, start with this shit. Every time I talk, that's what you do to Christians. You're known for this. That when it's our turn to talk, you'll make the noisiest gifts. Go ahead, do it. Be like a child, dude. Go ahead. Go ahead. This is what your reputation is. You know that, right?
Jay.
The moment you want to protect your guy, you sit down and make all these loud gifts.
Go ahead, Jay.
All right, let's see. Let's see now. Maybe he needs some money. He's only making 30K, dude, in Morocco. He needs some money here. All right. So here we are saying that 66:6, which says the angels do not disobey Allah in what He commanded them, and they do what they are commanded. This is not, and I said this is not that they choose not to. This is an inherent condition. They cannot disobey. He's saying no, that's not right. By the way, Ibn Kathir on 66:6 says they're incapable of sin. Okay, Qurtubi says that the angels have no desire. I would put this all up on my clip, by the way. They have no desire except obedience. Ashari, the Sunni Creed founder, Al-Ashari, says angels do not possess choice. He calls it the Arabic word which I will butcher, I'm sure, is called ikhtiyar. Okay, so they do not possess any choice. Okay, this man is now going to insist that the angels have a choice. If I have managed to do this to him and to you Muslims, where I now force you to change against your, nowhere in your Quran does it ever say they have any choice. In fact, Surah 16, 49, 50 says they do not show arrogance and they will do what they are commanded. They do what they are commanded. Okay, zero ability to resist, zero independent choice out there. Okay, so now the logical conclusion is this, right? If a being cannot disobey, then it does not have free will. The Quran says the angels cannot disobey, 66:6. Therefore, Islam teaches that angels have no free will. And this is why Iblis cannot be an angel, because he disobeyed. And Quran 18:50 states he was a jinn. Okay? So, free will means the ability to disobey. Quran 66 says angels cannot disobey. Therefore, angels have no free will. This is straightforward. Iblis disobeyed, so he's not an angel. He's cooked. But I'm going to show on my when I make the video on this guy here, right? To show that all you guys claim that this guy is supposed to be some high tier or whatever rubbish out there, dude. He's getting baked by the Christians out here. So thank you very much. I don't need to continue on and on. You will see my video on this. Now, you want to do the Islamic dilemma or you want to run from that?
All right, Jay, mute your mic. This is the final response to you. This is the final burial because you just quoted Al-Qurtubi, but you have no idea what he actually says. So let's look. I'll actually give sources, right? Unlike Jay. It says Al-Qurtubi said in his tafsir of Surah Al-Baqarah, the idea, this is a quote, the idea that he, speaking about Iblis, was one of the angels is the view of the majority. What does that say? Listen again. You mentioned Al-Qurtubi. Said in his tafsir of Surah Al-Baqarah, the idea that he was one of the angels is the view of the majority. Wow, J49er, you're baked. You're a barbecue chicken, dude. You had no idea about that, but it's okay. I'm giving free lessons on TikTok. That's why Speaking Muslim is throwing me some coins, because he feels bad that I actually have to teach you this stuff. Okay? He says the idea that he was one of the angels is the view of the majority. Who's he referring to? Ibn Abbas, Ibn Mas'ud, Ibn Jurayj, Ibn al-Musayyib, Qatada, and others. It is the view which you also mentioned, al-Ash'ari, which Al-Qurtubi, who is an Ash'ari, says, no, it is the view chosen by Al-Sheikh Abul Hassan. And who he's referring to there? He's referring to Abul Hassan al-Ash'ari, and regarded as more correct by At-Tabari. Do you know who At-Tabari is, Jay? Do you know who that is? One of the greatest scholars of tafsir of our tradition. He views the position that Iblis was actually one of the angels. He views that as more correct. That's what Al-Qurtubi says about At-Tabari. And then he is mentioning a bunch of companions as well as their students. And he says, and it is the apparent meaning of the phrase, except Iblis in 1850. So what is that verse referring to? Which some scholars have actually interpreted. I'm going to show you that very quickly, since Jay is already buried. He has no idea about this difference of opinion amongst the scholars, and he had no idea that actually, as Al-Qurtubi said, the majority of our early scholars of tafsir actually interpreted this. Why? Because of this verse and others. It says in 1850, and mention when we said to the angels, prostrate to Adam, alayhi salam, and they prostrated except for Iblis. He was of the jinn and departed from, i.e. disobeyed the command of his Lord. Then will you take him and his descendants as allies other than me while they are enemies to you? Wretched it is for the wrongdoers as an exchange. So a lot of scholars actually understood this verse as saying that Iblis was one of the angels. Why? Because the command is to the angels to make sujood to Adam alayhi salam. And it says that all of the angels prostrated except for Iblis. So the apparent meaning of that is that Iblis is one of the angels and he's the only one that refused to actually prostrate. It also says that he was of the jinn. Now, how does that make sense? Well, the same scholars like At-Tabari and the other scholars that Al-Qurtubi mentioned, they understood the jinn to be a particular tribe of the angels. They're not completely separate and distinct creatures or creations. Now, I have not said what my personal position is. All I am doing is noting the ikhtilaf and the scholarly difference of opinion within our tradition. And I'm also showing Al-Qurtubi, who Jay quoted from, who explicitly says that the majority of scholars actually believe that Iblis was one of the angels. So you are baked, Jay. On top of that, and more fundamentally, you have been completely unable to show that Iblis was the first of jinn created. Even if I granted that Iblis is a jinn and that the jinn are a completely distinct creature from the angels, you have failed to show or demonstrate or even attempt to evidence that Iblis was definitively the first jinn created. Therefore, your whole argument about Iblis being the first Muslim is gone. It's completely out the window. Try better next time. Now we're going to move to your pagan three gods. Are you ready, Jay?
I've finished with my closing statement. I need to finish with my closing statement, not you.
Hold on, Jay.
What do you mean you?
Hold on.
You don't get
want the last word?
Yeah.
Okay, Jay, are you...
So,
Jay,
here's what he did.
hold on a second.
Yes.
Hold on. Before you move on, Jake, are you cool with him taking the last word and then us moving on to LPT?
No, Jay can talk, and then I'm going to get the last word.
Okay, but then
Such a baby.
Jay had the first word, and I played his game, so I'm going to get the last word.
Okay, and then
all right, I don't care.
But are we going to LPT?
This is all I gotta say.
Hold on, we're going to LPT.
No,
after,
we're not going to. I'm going to explain the counting thing. I'm going to explain
hold on.
Just
how I
let
do the
him
counting
give his
thing,
final
right?
word, bro.
Right?
Just let him give his final word.
I'm just going to give the final thing. Look, notice, guys, what he did. He said, the scholars said that they dispute whether Iblis was a jinn or an angel. What is the argument he's bringing to me? Listen to this. I know most of you guys out there, minions, you guys don't have the comprehension level, but the Christians are there. Christians, check this out, what he did. The argument is are the angels different than jinns? Are angels different than jinns? In that, when I'm saying angels don't have free will, while jinns have free will. What he did was, he made a lot of song and dance in that manner he speaks, right? All that yapping he did, he kept on saying that I have a whole bit of scholars who say that that Iblis wasn't a jinn but an angel. That's not the argument that we're bringing in. We're saying, hey, do the angels have free will? Now, if you think Iblis is an angel, that's secondary. But I'm saying, look, he's a jinn, and jinns have, and he said, what's the difference between a jinn and an angel? All right. Then he said, there are a bunch of scholars who think one way and a bunch of scholars who think the other way. So it's scholar for scholar, whatever you want to sit down and do out there. But now I'm going to leave him with this and watch. You watch, if he's truthful, he'll tell you his position, because I've heard him before saying the position, okay? His position is that Iblis is a jinn and a jinn is not an angel. And that's the question he asked me. He says, what makes you think a jinn is not an angel? And I said, because they don't have free will. Now I'm going to ask him to answer those questions directly, so we have him on record. I bet you he won't, but I'm going to ask him. Number one, is Iblis a jinn? Number two, is is a jinn different than an angel? Number three, well, if he says number two, that's fine. If not, number three would be, is it true that angels have no free will? His position. And jinns have free will. That's it. Case closed. Let's see if he'll answer those three. I'll be betting that bet that he won't. And now for me to charge my phone.
Yeah, so Jay, in his final gasping, right, he wants to give me 3 questions in what's supposed to be my closing statement. How does this make any sense? It doesn't make any sense. I'm supposed to give my closing statement about what we've discussed this far, and Jay wants to try to give me 3 questions. Jay, it seems like you're unable to actually follow the argument. Your entire argument was premised on the claim that Iblis was the first jinn. I already played that game. I already granted the first part for the sake of argument that Iblis is one of the jinn, that the jinn are a distinct creation from angels. And then I asked you, even if that's true, you still were unable to prove that Iblis was the first of the jinn. Secondly, you made the claim that I said explicitly that the angels do not have free will. You said you asked me that, and I said, yeah, they don't have free will. I never made that claim at all. Thirdly, you also made the claim that Jake is ignorant. He is a one-trick pony. He has no idea about these topics. He has no idea that in Islam and in the Quran that the jinn and angels are distinct creations. He has no idea about that. No, it's actually Jay that's completely ignorant of the Islamic tradition, that there's difference of opinion, and actually the majority of early scholars actually believed that Iblis was one of the angels. Now, this was my closing statement. We are going to move on to Jay trying to prove to us that he doesn't believe in three gods. So Jay, explain to us how you count gods in the Trinity. Go ahead.